Stacking growth.
This is Cassidy. Carl's with me today. Say hi, Carl.
Hey,
That was not enthusiastic.
we're late. We're late. I'm upset because we're late because Cassidy had to switch out his polo. He wasn't hidden. He made us late.
Carl expects me to show up every day with a new nice shirt on. So I broke out a nice new one for him. He's rocking the sweater. What do you call that thing? The sweater
I don't know,
polo?
man. It's a sweater polo. It's like sweater. It's like knitted,
Never heard of that. That's
but
crazy.
it's
The
also
sweater polo.
short sleeve polo. It's the best. It's great for Southern California when you have like a cool, crisp morning still, and then it gets a little bit hotter, like in the afternoon. You need a little something a little more versatile, you know?
That's ridiculous. The sweater polo. All right, everybody. Let's get started. I want to introduce Courtney. Courtney's a creative director at Refine Lab. She's going to be the expert on the show today. She's going to walk you through a company that we picked out for our tear down or build up, however you want to call it. Courtney, how you doing?
I'm good. Excited to be here and walk you guys through Toast, which is the brand that I chose. But just a little bit, I've been at Refine Labs for about 2 years now. I'm based in Haverhill, Massachusetts, which is north of Boston, close to New Hampshire. And I have a background in different tech companies in the greater Boston area. I've been in the design world for almost 10 years now, and I've had my handful in just about everything: website design, animation, event branding, you name it. Basically, I've done it. And I guess I will get us started.
Yeah, Courtney, while you bring that up, am I correct in saying you're the first, like you're the OG creative person at Refine? Is that how I should am I correct on that?
Yes, you are correct. I was the first designer on board. And as you know, we built our team up, which I love so much. But yes, I was the first one here. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. And so for the audience, make sure, hey, should be interactive. So ask questions in the chat, raise your hand. We're happy to bring you on as we go through this. And maybe to start, Courtney, what made you decide to pick Toast? As you kind of tell us who Toast is.
yes, so actually that's a great question. So there were tons of brands to choose from, and all of them were good. And then some of them, there was a lot of opportunity for growth. And I wanted to choose one that I thought was working well, which created a challenge for me as a designer, because I'm like, okay, it's already working well, but what can we do to improve it even more? So that's why I went with Toast. Also, I didn't realize how often I use Toast personally, and I'm sure all of you guys will kind of realize that once I did this, every restaurant I went to or coffee shop, I'm like, oh, you use Toast, use Toast. So that's kind of why I chose it, because I use it. And then also I thought creatively it was a great example of a brand that's working well, but still has room for opportunity for growth.
I love that. I've used Toast as well. Big fan. Big fan. Great product. I'll digress. You go for it, Courtney.
Okay, so let me just move this over here. So just a quick overview of Toast. Toast empowers restaurants of all sizes to build great teams, increase revenue, improve operations, and delight guests. Toast pairs with a deep understanding of the restaurant industry with a powerful cloud-based software and restaurant-grade hardware to deliver an intuitive, all-in-one platform across point of sale, guest marketing, digital ordering and delivery, and payroll and HR. So the funding Toast is at 962 million. The industry is software development. They were founded in 2011, which makes them around for 12 years. Their annual website visits are at 2.4 million. And then the programs today that I'm going to be walking through are email, their website, and social. And I'm going to start with the website, and then I'm going to go into the email and then the social for order. And then for the website, I'm going to actually just walk us through the website, and then I'm going to do a recap of some of the pros and cons. And again, stop me at any point if you have anything to add. Agree, disagree, here for it all. So, okay, can everybody see my screen? Okay, cool. So when you first go onto their website, you see a video. And as a creative or somebody, I'm like, oh, this is awesome. This is something that we tell a lot of our clients. Like, video really resonates well, and it's really a good way to grab the attention within the header of the website. You also see that it's very sleek, it's very clean. There's a branding element subtly behind here. Everything is working very well, very easy to digest. And then we have the headline. So, built for restaurants, built for you. The tagline is quick to learn and easier to use. Toast Restaurant First platform is built with you in mind, which is great. It invokes that emotional resonance with the page. It speaks to you, it speaks to your restaurant. But there is something that I wish that they did a little bit more, and is kind of play into how is it built for you? Why is it built for you? I know that there's a video, and if you watch the video is Chef Kiss. It goes through everything perfectly. It explains Toast. I know exactly who they are, what they do, but I think it's very important when you jump on a homepage to know exactly what it is off the first glance, because if I just took a looked at the video and the headline, I wouldn't know. So I think that they're really missing the opportunity to educate here, although I do think that they're doing a really good job with breaking it down so you can easily digest and understand. Another thing too that stood out to me is, where do I click? I jump on, I see get a demo, I see check out our starter kit, and I see the video. So I have to choose. I think that that's another thing kind of complicates it. I would simplify it a little bit so it's easier for the viewer to digest and to click on one or the other.
That's a really great point, Courtney. If I could stop you there, like that decision fatigue on the CTAs, it's pretty intense. Check out a starter kit. I could see pricing. I mean, yeah, you've got one, and even the login at the top. I don't know how you feel about this, but I always feel negatively about having like a big login button, right? Because I'm like, how many customers really like log in by going to the website? You typically have it bookmarked, or it's on your browser or some way if you actually are like a user of the platform. And I've always thought, I don't have any data to support this, but I've always thought that it was just wasted real estate for something that probably is useless. Do you agree with that? Or like, what do you think about that? Cassidy, curious to get your thoughts too, from more of like a business kind of strategic standpoint.
I'll let Courtney go first.
Okay. I was going to say, I think that that's a great call out, and I think that's a great point. And that kind of, when you see the login, I'm almost like, is this the homepage? Like, am I on the right page? So I do agree with you. I think that it is a little misleading. I feel like it is taking away, distracting. And it's also, when I get to the homepage and I see login, I already feel like I'm a step behind because I'm not set up to log in yet too. So I think for the user experience, I think that it is a little jaded and it is a little like out of place.
Yeah, and then like the search restaurants, even hidden CTA up there next to login. I'm like, what does that even mean, right? Search restaurants. What am I searching? So definitely some CTA fatigue here.
Yeah, my reaction on the login would be they should know very clearly. They do know very clearly if it should be there. The question is, have they taken action on that? So for example, to your point, Carl, if it's not getting a lot of activity because people have a bookmark or they're going to the mobile app or whatever, then I would definitely de-emphasize it. For some reason, if it is your home screen for this page is your home screen for the app, which would be odd, it's getting a lot of traffic, then maybe you do leave it there. Your point on search restaurants is a great one. I can't even imagine what that means actually. And I would say the thing that sticks out to me is I to your point, Courtney, on the hero is the copy is good up until Toast Restaurant First platform. Like it makes me cringe. Like everything else seems very natural, quick to learn. It's easy to use. It's built for you in mind, but then we call it a restaurant first platform. To your point, this is probably the opportunity to explain a little bit more in plain English, like what it is, versus like trying to slide in a phrase that actually probably means nothing to the industry.
Yes, I agree. Definitely agree.
So just to close the loop on this, I clicked search restaurants. This is a totally different thing. Like Toast apparently is trying to compete with like Uber Eats and like other delivery services. And so that redirects you to this site that is all about like, I could order a pizza if I want to have it delivered. I think that makes it actually even worse because it's like that's a totally different business model. Now you've like redirected me to something entirely different. So come on, Toast. What's going on here?
I'm glad that you brought that up though, because that is something that I called out within the entire page is that there is a ton of information, and the organization of the information throughout the pages, I feel like is definitely an area for opportunity. So it's interesting that we're seeing that off the bat too. So as we scroll down, one thing I want to mention too, when viewing a website, you really want to think about the experience for the viewer. So first they educated us with this video, which was great. Now we go down and they're adding more value by explaining why other restaurants love to use Toast, which is great. They have some really, consistent icons in here. They're calling out some good, important points that add value. And then we go to this section here, which visually is a nice design break because the beginning of the page is mostly white. There's a few splashes of orange, but now we're seeing a nice visual break with the orange, and they're really honing into your experience and what is the right fit for you. And I'm going to actually navigate to one of these pages because I think that these pages are done very well. And their organization is a little bit better than the homepage, or working better than the homepage. So you go onto this page and you have the cafes, bakeries, meat toast. You have some nice lifestyle photography, which is really great because that, Toast is saying that they're built for you, built for your restaurant, but you're kind of missing the human feel to the beginning of the homepage. So we have some nice lifestyle photography. We go down the page, we have this, really successful branding element over here. Then we have this deliver on the pie opening experience for your guests. That's super creative. That's super clever. If you go through and watch the video, I'm not going to make us all watch that today, but I definitely would recommend checking it out because that language and some of that playfulness is in that video. And I think that if that video was sprinkled out more throughout the web page, the homepage, as it is in this page in the video, it would be a lot more successful telling the brand story. So as we scroll, one thing that I wanted to call out is I do feel like this is organized very well. I like that you scroll down and it is creating some sort of interaction. I would like to see it a little bit more interactive and broken out a little bit more because an example, you see this mock-up right here. You can barely read the screen. It's easy to start and grow with, but how is it easy to start with and grow with? There is bullet points, but I would kind of like to see those visually shown. And then the same thing throughout, just kind of, I think more interacting, like especially with the product and what it is, would definitely help make the experience for the viewer a lot easier to understand.
Hey, can I ask your professional opinion here?
Yes.
So if I'm hearing you right, and this is like an actionable takeaway, I think, in that what you're suggesting is actually a more intuitive and in-depth kind of product explainer, maybe not a video, but they're kind of putting here just like, like just vague kind of JPEGs of the product. What you're saying is like, maybe show me some more like maybe like a GIF or something like that of the product being used and clicked. And I guess talk to me about your experience with like, does that work? Like, or how have you seen that work in the past? Or how would a team validate that lift is kind of worth it, right? Talk to me like about like ROI on some of that.
That is actually a great question, and I'm going to kind of divert a little bit because I have an example in the deck that I think sums up nicely to this.
Awesome.
Just explaining more of the UI and how if it's broken down, it's easier to understand. And I think that this is a great example. So I signed up for a demo with Toast in my research. And I was taken to the demo page and then I was clicking all the buttons, just exploring a little bit. And they came to this for scheduling a demo. Now it's something as simple as scheduling a demo, but I think that the UI is so like very effective in this. It's broken down, it's simplified. I know icon of a calendar. This is a calendar we're going to schedule. Then you have all these dates in here. It's easy to schedule. And then you have a person in here scheduling the demo. So it's broken apart. And I feel like when you break apart things, it's easier for the viewer to digest. I feel like right now, when you look at this right here, it's a lot to take in. I see the 56 points, I see the checkout at the bottom, I see all the images in there, and kind of exactly what's happening in this shot, I'm not clear on. So I think that when you take it, simplify it, break it down, make it easier to digest, just like we do with our copy with the visual, that's when it has better results and people know what it's doing.
What does the page show below? Trusted by thousands of cafes, coffee shops.
Yes, so they have quotes in here, like different customers, kind of testimonials or quotes that they've had in here. And basically they go through, there's different people, where they're from. I think that this is a nice touch. I also think visually the break of the purple is working really well here. We haven't seen this so far. And then again, to my point, we have a lot of information. So this is built for restaurants, built by people. We have different points here. And then we go into solutions for your every budget. And then continuing with, like, all of this is very well designed and very well put together, but it is a lot to digest. And then continuing at the bottom, and it goes more into that, what we were just talking about separating apart the gifts, goes more into this right here.
Maybe we should let Lex on real quick, and she had a comment here about their tone. Lex, I'd love to hear more about that. If you can unmute. I don't know if Miles is around. Miles, fix this.
Oh, okay. I'm unmuted now. Hello. Yeah, I was just noticing as we're scrolling down the page, there's, these puns are funny, but they feel really inconsistent with the rest of their messaging. So to me, I think it's clever, but it almost feels like a little bit cheesy and just distracting because of the fact that they're not really bringing that in anywhere else. So it seems like they're doing it just to do it rather than with some kind of like laddering up mentality. So yeah, I don't know. I'm just seeing a lot of inconsistencies in their messaging as we're scrolling down the page. There's moments where it feels very transactional. There's moments where it feels kind of like a little bit more of a branded experience. And I'm just kind of a little bit confused about what they're trying, like what story are they trying to tell on this page? What is this page designed to do? They're sending mixed messages. So that's just one thing I'm noticing as we're scrolling through at a high level.
So Lex, whenever you're comparing these things, like, are you looking at are you saying, okay, deliver on that pie opening experience? That's funny and cute. And this is like the restaurant, this is the landing page for bakeries, right? So they're trying to speak to a bakery. Are you saying like, well, that tone isn't aligned with like the images right above this H1 where you've got like a dude in some kind of a restaurant, doesn't look like a bakery, actually looks like a coffee shop maybe. Is that what you're saying? Or are you saying it's just inconsistent with other copy on the page, or both?
Looks like we mute her again.
Yeah,
I'll give you my
we're gonna wait for
take.
Miles.
Okay,
Oh,
now
there
I'm
she
here. Yeah, I mean, I'll start with the H1 here. Cafes and bakeries meet toast. That seems like a very pointless headline in my opinion. We know, like, we're on Toast's website where, I know that they're trying to make it clear that they're talking to cafes and bakeries here, but this just feels like a very wasted, prime real estate here. So for me, I'm thinking like, okay, they're being so just vanilla in this section right here. And then all of a sudden you get to this pie opening experience for your guests and you're like, okay, wait, what? Who are you? Like, how are you talking to me right now? I don't know. I just feel like this, again, especially in this header section, this hero, it's just so ineffective in terms of letting people know what they're trying to accomplish on this page. All they're doing is telling me who I am. And it just seems like, yeah, a wasted opportunity. So then when you start getting into this more kind of silly toned messaging, it just feels really off base. And it just feels kind of like, yeah, miss overall.
So it feels like fake personalization almost, where it's like they've got a couple of the points that are personalized, but like they didn't go like all in on really figuring out like, how do we make this page really vibe with cafes and bakeries, right?
Yeah, it just feels pretty hollow. And I'll answer Kirsty's question. I feel like in this section, cafes and bakeries meet toast. I'm on your website, I'm meeting you already. That's the point of me being here. Tell me what you're going to do for me. Tell me why I should meet you, why I should use you. This feels kind of just like very redundant on some level and just kind of like a little bit of a duh moment. So in this case, I would just make this H1 speak a lot more to, you know, the experience that Toast is going to give me as a cafe and bakery owner, or, you know, what value it's going to bring, rather than just saying, hey, meet me, I'm here, you're on my website. So yeah, that's kind of how I would tackle that section. And yet for me, it just feels like, you know, you run into this a lot with copy in general. There's a lot of people who are just trying to be very funny, and the way that they do that is just by throwing a couple puns on the page and calling it a day. Feels like they're kind of mailing it in a little bit here with that. There's, you know, having a pun on your site does not equal having a brand voice, a brand tone. It does not mean that you have, that you know who you are and who you're talking to. And to me, in this case, it almost demonstrates that they really don't know, because they're not consistently deploying that across their messaging. They're just throwing it in at random places, kind of happenstance. So that's kind of more what I'm getting at there, is it just feels a little bit hollow, and yeah, kind of like a half-assed attempt to have some personality on the page. And I think that there's probably just more effective ways that they could do that. Love the pun though. It's very clever. I like it. I just wish that they had brought that ethos in more, and just kind of had like a little bit more strategy behind it, which it feels like they're maybe lacking in here.
Okay, Lex and Courtney, I am a knuckle dragging salesperson, so I have an objection for you here. Why does that like matter, right? It feels so nitpicky, right? Like, from a creative standpoint, like, again, talk to me about like ROI, because it feels like a lot of work now, right? You said this is half-assed, so it seems like a lot of work to like whole ass this page and really like look at all the copy and make sure it's all like aligned with this tone. And that sounds like a lot of work. Like, is there really gonna be like a major uplift? What have you seen in your just experience? What would you say to, again, a half-brained person like me, kind of challenging the creative team in that way? Because I'm sure there's a lot of marketers or creatives that get that kind of pushback, right? So like, I don't know, how would you address that?
More what I'm getting at is, you know, I'm not saying, hey, they didn't try hard enough, they didn't work hard enough here, they need to go back to the drawing board entirely. What I'm getting at is this reveals to me that there's probably a lack of understanding on their part of how to talk to their customers and how to communicate what they actually do. These messaging inconsistencies are not a lack of creativity. I'm not saying, hey, you guys need to try harder to be more creative. It's more so, do you really know what you're trying to accomplish on this page? Because as a user, I'm not quite sure. So to me, the real work that needs to be done is figuring out how to talk about their product and how to make the user or the potential user care, which benefits someone in sales as well, and kind of does some of the heavy lifting for you. That's kind of where I'm coming from. Not so much, hey, this is boring, make this more creative and more fun throughout, but like, hey, figure out what you're trying to say and how to say it. Don't just throw a pun in just for the sake of throwing in a pun. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, to a degree. I think it's still like, I think you're right. I agree with you, but I'm like, what, like, would it really make this page better in the sense that it drives more conversions, et cetera? I mean, they're converting. I mean, even the CTAs right here, they're all over the place. They have shop now, and then right below that, request a demo. I don't even know what shop now means. Like, am I on an e-commerce page? I don't even, what is this, right? Am I buy tennis shoes or something here? Can I buy some muffins right from this page? I don't know. But I think for me, it's still the question of like, how would you as like a creative executive on your team be like, this is why we should do this, and this is like the lift in whatever that KPI would be that we should see if we do this well, right? If we really nail this.
I think to kind of piggyback too on Lex, I think it is about like what I said earlier, when like you enter a web page, it's about the user experience. And right now I'm confused. And then also to kick it back to kind of, I think this ties in nicely, back to the home page. So it's the user experience. I want to know what you have, how I can get it, and the quickest way to do that. But right now I'm kind of confused. I don't know which way and what direction to go, which I think in the long run will affect you and people converting and buying your product. And to kind of like stack that up a little bit, this is a little bit more of it. So we're explaining, we have a user experience, and then we go into this. When I got to this, first reaction was, wait, what? Because I just went through this whole experience of learning the video, learning what Toast is, why restaurants love it, the right fit for me, and then I go back to what they're actually selling or what their products are, what they have to offer. Seems out of place. So I think I would start, if I was to make tweaks or start with tweaks, I would start with the minimal, and I would really just try to strategically place things on the page in the right order so it's easier for the viewer to digest and understand. And then I would start to go back into the copy and the images and make them more relate to tell more of that story.
Yeah, it feels like there was I got a couple of points here. It feels like there was a battle between the brand and copywriting team and product marketing as you get deeper into this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of the confusion in why there's so much information.
Mm-hmm.
This product is pretty cool, but it's not that complicated. Yet it feels super complicated as I read through, scrolls and scrolls of information. And if you go back to kind of what they said at the beginning, we're supposed to make the restaurant's life easy and intuitive. And then you just like blast me with a ton of information. This doesn't feel easy and intuitive anymore. It feels complicated. Like, what's all this mean? I got to read all this stuff to be able to use your product and buy your product. Show me why it makes my life easy. I own a restaurant. I'm a small business owner. I don't have time to read this entire website. So we've all been in these situations. Like, the product team wants all their information, 300, 24/7, 365 support, and talk about point of sale and talk about our billing options and all these things. They want all that information, available on the website. And then there's somebody, another team is like, listen, we're trying to make this speak to our voice. We're trying to make it simple and elegant and easy to use. And I think what happens is these two worlds collide and you get something like this.
Yeah, I think there's kind of like an overarching disconnect between intention and execution, like especially going back to that use case page on cafes and bakeries. This is my first time seeing this site at all, so I'm not even sure really how we got here, but this to me feels like, they needed to have a page on the site for this specific audience, and they just kind of mailed it in as far as like actually putting content on the page. And so for me, it feels a little bit like, yeah, show me how easy to use this is, show me how it makes my life easier as a business owner owning a cafe or a bakery. And that's what I care about if I'm coming to this page. I'm not really getting that from this. I'm just getting a lot of, like kind of granular information that just feels like a missed opportunity.
Yeah, the one other nit I would say here is you have a lot of, like we talked about, business owners that are out like running their business using Toast. I would be sending a camera crew around and I would be filming them all. And I'd be using that in my marketing. I'd rather hear from a cafe owner talking about how Toast changed their business or transformed their business than, to your point, Lex, like some imagery like this that's like, frankly, an AI could build that today. So yeah, let's hear more from all the people out there like myself who are using Toast to kind of make a difference in their business.
I will say in my research, I did find a few ads of testimonials that they have run, and those were significantly so much more impactful than all of the social ads that they currently have out there. So I definitely agree with that point that adding that real life people and customers into the mix is probably the best route to take.
I want to hit this question from Sid. It's a tactic, but it's helpful. That's what we're here for. So he asked, when we talk about animated product GIFs and product images for a website revamp, which he's working on, any advice for giving the design team a good storyboard or visual flow? And the reason I want to kind of point this out is, one, because Sid was kind enough to ask it, but two is I've struggled with this too. Like, we want something short, snappy, and impactful. And there's always a chasm, like we talked about, between the product team who's like, okay, I should say these things, and the creative team. So how do you kind of bridge the gap on that language to kind of get you what you need in order for it to make something that's kind of compelling for a website? you don't mind, neither. Courtney, you start, maybe Lex can dive
Sure.
in.
Yeah, so that's actually a great question. I'm actually gonna probably scroll to one for an example. So say if we received a big product screenshot and we wanted to simplify it and make it into a GIF. Visually, what I would think about is what's either the top thing or top two things that you want this GIF to do? What do you want it to show? And that's where I would start. Make sure that you are incorporating for this one, say you want to show the QR code. That's the main thing. So I would take this UI shot and I would have probably the QR code pop up and then have the screenshot like pop up behind it. So I would lead with what's most important and then make sure that is clear. And then from there, I would kind of simplify a little bit. Example, if you have a big UI shot and there's one line that's the highlight of what's happening, I would kind of bump that line out, maybe put some text in there or whatever you wanted to show. And then I would kind of mute the colors of the other lines and make them more like organic. So they're not actually words, they're just color bars that are like a light gray. So what the action or what you want it to show, what is actually happening, is the most prominent thing and is the first thing you see as soon as you see the image. But that helps some. I don't know if you have more to add, Lex.
Well, Courtney, it definitely helped me. So
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that pretty much covers it, but getting into these kind of little buckets over here, this is kind of what I'm talking about. There's just like a bunch of random copy here that seems so pointless and confusing. I don't understand what they're trying to accomplish here. The entire easy to start, use, and grow with section is just random nonsense to me and kind of blabber. So yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot of wasted space on this page.
I mean, even under easy to start, use, and grow with, like, quickly order, know what your customers like
Exactly.
best.
They're making it so much more complicated. So
Right.
yeah, Carl, to your point of like, it seems hard to create a better page. I think they spent a lot of time making a really bad page that they could have easily, if one person really knew what the goal of this page was and was, given the freedom to just run with it and bring it to life, it probably would have taken way less time. I'm imagining that they probably spent a lot of time on this thing, and I'm not quite sure what they're hoping for with it. Outgrown the pen and paper, perfect that complex cup of joe with digital tickets. I have no idea what that means.
And then another point too, to add on to that, if you take a look at the actual product shot, the UI on that looks like somebody is like total for like a bill. And like I'm missing, that's a complete disconnect with that copy.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that copy has room for opportunity too, but also like I feel like that's very important, especially with a web page, to make sure all the images you are using somehow tie into that copy. And this one right now seems very disconnected.
These are the hot takes that I signed up for, Cassidy. I don't know about you, but I came to this page and I was like, this is a pretty good page. Now I'm like, dang, if Lex says it's not a good page, then I'm out. I'm not. She's right though. I mean, I guess like, I don't know. I like the bullet points of like explaining what it does. Okay, the outgrown the pen and paper is, that's a useless bullet point. They probably just needed 3 and they could only think of 2 and they wanted it to be consistent. But I don't know, it's kind of listing out like outcomes or features, I guess, like explain like it's answering the question like what does Toast do for you?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Yeah, I would push back. Carl, you're not reading these bullets. This is like a presentation 101. Got a bunch of bullets and you have multiple lines on each bullet and you have ands in the sentence. You scan websites. You don't read it like this.
Yeah.
And so like this is take 75% of the words out of each one of these bullets and you might have something.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah, I second that.
I don't know. Protect margins with commission-free online ordering like that. Yes. All right. Cool.
That's one of the better bullets, but like so many of these other ones are either just there as fillers or are, yeah, like defeating the purpose of them even being bullets.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the key there. There is a lot of filler. There's a couple of good stuff. There's like a few good notes here and there, but there's a lot of filler. So, and can we just be honest here? Like this computer that they use, it just is ugly. Like it looks very like not modern. It's like
Yeah.
like who has like a black backed computer anymore? Usually it's like some slick Apple or something. So there's like some little things, but all right.
Yeah,
I'll be-
my one takeaway, just like gotta have some empathy here, is like this is pretty hard in general.
Oh,
Like we
yeah.
all make these mistakes.
yeah.
Like this company's raised $1 billion and probably has the best talent and some of the best talent in the world, and they still can't get this nailed down. So it's I think we all think design, copywriting, being clear to your customer is kind of an easy. It's a formality. I think this just proves it's one of the harder things to do.
It takes a village. So back to the homepage. To go a little bit further down, again, there seems to be a lot of information, customized solutions built for you. And then we have the video replaying again, which I think takes away from the value of the video at the top. It's a bit repetitive. We could shorten the page. And then we have some logos here, which I know a lot of companies do that. You know, sometimes it is nice to see ones that you personally use in there to create that relationship with the product. Give or take, but again, that could probably, you know, replace the video. The video seems repetitive. And then schedule a demo. We have this again. And I think that this section right here ties into all the points we were just talking about regarding the imagery. We have this, you know, we have the product, which I understand, but again, it looks like it's a signature part when you pay, which I love because it does the tip for you and it makes, you know, some of the guesswork of that taken out, which is helpful, but it doesn't relate at all to the demo. And then along with the design element here, we just have, you know, the pattern, the orange, which I get on brand, but it's not adding value to the get a demo part. It's not making me want to sign up for a demo with this imagery. Also, this would be another great example of if you're working with those animated GIFs or, you know, creating some interaction, this would be an awesome area where you could have stuff like popping up out of the screen to create more like drive to sign up for that demo. And then I'm gonna head over to the email. Let me just go over here. Okay, so for the email, I just did a quick demo, get a demo, sign up for an email. Super simple. I'm not signed up for the emails, but I think that this is very effective for kind of going back to all the things we just talked about on the website. The core story of the brand is missing in the email. Even though it is just a demo email, it should have it in there. The email really should, you know, have value, confidence, and the tone should be consistent with the website. And as we know, there's a lot of inconsistencies with the website. You know, going through here, it is easy to understand. It's simple, it's short, straight to the point, but there is an opportunity to educate you more about the demo, maybe add the video back in, maybe some of those testimonials. I think that would be a great area to leverage that. They also have gone back to their bullets, which again, we just discussed. I do appreciate the timeline today, this week, this month. I think that's organized very well. But other than that, I think it definitely is lacking. Schedule your personalized Toast demo. I get that you have that here, but there probably should be a little bit more information about that. CY 57K restaurants, choose your partner with Toast. Where am I going to see that? There's like a few things that are just missing. More links or more information are definitely needed in this part. Any questions or comments before I go to the next half of the email?
I think Sarah had a question. She said, where would you put the core story of the brand in the email?
I would form the email kind of again like the website, like an experience. Like I wouldn't use "Hey Courtney." I think that that's a little cliche. I would change that out. Welcome to Toast, and then I would say thank you for your recent download. And then kind of like have a little bit more of the story, and then probably add them in there either before the what's next, probably after the what's next, to kind of drive home a little bit more, give a little bit more like information and context to read before your demo. So you are caught up to speed when you get on your demo and you are educated a little bit. Hopefully that answers.
I would agree with all that feedback. I will also say, I think most of us don't do this very well. Like this is actually pretty decent. And I think your inputs are actually very good. Like we should be doing more with this. Hey, you signed up for a demo. Here's what you should do between now and when we meet. And here's what you should expect, et cetera, et cetera. But hell, we're guilty of not doing this very well. At least Carl is. And I think everybody has room for improvement here.
Yes.
Good
Yeah, a little
insight.
tweak too, like meet my rep as a CTA. It took me a second to like figure out like what that means. Like meet my rep, is this going to take me to a landing page? It's going to show like the sales rep and like their history or something or what? And then I was like, oh, it's a book a meeting because you down like, so it took me like a second because I'm slow, right? But little stuff like that, like you're not used to it as a user. I'm not used to seeing meet my rep. I don't want to meet my rep anyways. Like I actually would rather not talk to a rep, right? I want to book a meeting to see the tool, book a demo, whatever it is. Because I'm assuming you got this after you downloaded. Yeah, you requested a demo. And so they're trying to push you to the demo. So
I didn't know that's what that meant. I thought it was like going to pull up a little picture of Carl, for example, and introduce me to the
I mean,
person.
that's what it should do. That's the one tweak that anyone can make to like increase win rates today is to just like have random pop-ups of my face on your website. But yeah, again, to your point, Cassie, it takes you a second to be like, oh, that probably opens up a Chili Piper link or something like that to book a meeting. It's not immediately known or obvious. So also, I always think it's funny when vendors say like, we'll be well on your way to outperforming your peers by 10 to 30%. Well, except if they use Toast, right? Then technically I'll be performing the same as them. I never like claims like that brands make about peers because, you know, 6th Sense does this a lot, right? They're like, get all this access to this data very quickly. And I'm like, yeah, but everybody's using 6th Sense. So it's actually not a strategic differentiator anymore. Anyways, I digress. All right. Sorry, Courtney. Keep going. You're doing great.
I agree with your points. So to go to the bottom of the page, again, very short email, which I appreciate, but then I also would want more. So we have the ready to get started. And again, we have a 60-minute demo, a 15-minute demo. I think across the Toast site, there's way too many buttons and options. I think that consolidating the options is probably the best route to take because again, I am getting confused. I'm like, do I need 60? Do I mean 15? Like, which one do I choose? And then also, I did think they did a good job with calling out some relevant stories or blog articles to share. This is great. I think that this adds value. If I was going to do a demo and I was a restaurant owner, I definitely would want to check out, you know, different customer stories or the floor plan templates. I think that adds value to it. And then I'm glad that you called up the click the rep button because I did. And this is what I referenced earlier. I do think that they're doing a really good job at this is just one more thing. And then they're kind of prompting you. The user experience on this page, I think is done well. And also it's to create a demo and that's the imagery is really tying back into that. Very simplified UI shot. I think this page is done really well. Just 3 steps, 3 bullets of what to expect next, short, straight to the point. This was a little nugget that I didn't expect to find that I thought was working really well.
So Courtney, what was the flow here? You signed up online, they sent you an email, and then you booked the meeting?
I did not book the meeting, but I clicked on the rep button at the top of the email, and then that took me to this page.
Yeah, I would love to just see, this is nice. I would just love to see this at the website level. Like I sign up at the website, I booked the meeting there and I'm done.
Yeah, I thought this was done very, very well. And I wish that this was like incorporated in the main website, especially the homepage.
We know this by our data, and we know this by Kaylee, if anybody wants to ping her afterwards on the data, but like the idea that you sign up and then you get an email and then you have to book the demo, you're going to lose 30-40% easily of your volume by having those many steps versus just pop this nice looking thing up on the website and let Courtney book right away.
Awesome. And then this is just a recap, kind of what I was talking about. The messaging pros, it does bring value to the customer. It lists out the next steps and a time frame. It does offer blogs that add value to someone who would be looking to demo Toast. The email does look cohesive with the website using the same color palette, icon illustrations. It does use iconography and photography to make the content more easily digestible. And then cons, the core story isn't present. I feel like it's lacking personality. They're using that cliche welcome and then someone's name. Would like to see some more messaging that adds the value. And then the design cons, I feel like it is lacking fun and inviting feel. It just feels like a cold email. From the design side, I think that we could definitely benefit with some animations or more visual illustrations into like what's next and the next steps. And then I'm going to get into the paid social. So these are 3 ads, but I'm actually going to navigate. So all 3 of these are actually animated. So I'm going to just quickly go through the animation and stop as I go to recap some of the pros and the cons. Okay. Can everybody see my screen? Okay, cool.
Yep.
So this was the first ad that I took a look at. There's a lot going on in this one, I feel like. So as you see, it is built for restaurants, built for you. Again, it is really missing the why. Why is it built for restaurants? Why is it built for you? I understand that it's giving the value and it's telling you what they offer, but it's just when we create social ads, we really want to make sure the company's core story is top of mind and it's easily digestible and you're educating your viewer. And right now, I just know that you're built for restaurants and built for you, but how? I feel like that this one is lacking a little bit. And also I'm going to pull out and I'm going to actually look at this presentation again real quick, because this one in particular, I took a look at the post copy too. So the post headline says, pick and pay only for what you need, nothing you don't. Build for flexibility today and tomorrow. So we're built for flexibility today, tomorrow. We're also built for restaurants and built for you. The messaging is definitely very repetitive. It's not telling a story. There's definitely another way to position this. Also, Lex, very curious to hear your thoughts on this one. And then also from a design standpoint, this one does do a better job. This is what I was talking about with the GIFs, like simplifying and like calling out little actions that are most important. But again, I do feel like it is a little, we could have had the button move at a different point or a different area. And they're just saying like new order from a person. I would kind of flip the hierarchy. And when I say that, I mean, it says delivery and then let me go back into this. So let me open this up. So if you see curbside, new order from Sue Smith. The first thing that jumps out is new order from Sue Smith, which is great. But if you go to the next one and you see, where is it? Right here. New order from Jen Wilson. The new order from the person is the primary focus. That's the first thing you're seeing. But wouldn't we want to see the takeout or the delivery? I think that that's really the impact of the system. It's doing all of this together in one place, but the highlight is on the person. So I think that there's a few little things here and there that definitely could drive this home. But definitely I think that they missed the mark with the copy and then also with the visual tying back into it. And then again, there is a few design tweaks here and there. I know that there's text in the background and it's kind of getting a little lost, not really adding value to the ad. Any thoughts or questions or comments on the first one?
I'm curious who they're targeting this to, because yeah, from my perspective, not knowing really anything about Toast, this tells me nothing about them or what they do. So I'm curious, like, who is this getting delivered to? What's the intention here? I don't know what the product is actually doing or why I should care, essentially.
Yeah, my takeaway is this is a competitive market and this could be anybody's ad,
Yeah.
any of their competitors' ad.
Yes, I agree.
I really honestly can't stand the angle of that iPad too. I don't know if
I know.
there's anybody else, but like just the angle of the iPad is
Driving me crazy
weird.
too.
It's not legible too, which is another thing that I think is super important, especially with UI shots, is to make sure that everything is legible. If it's not legible, probably remove it or mute it a bit. But definitely this angle just, yeah, is not.
It's almost like they're trying to hide something. It's like you do like it feels like you're deliberately not wanting to show me like just a squared up like screenshot of the system, you know, like because it's such an absurd angle. Anyways.
Yeah, the irony of this is as a user, when I'm ordering from a restaurant with Toast, the ordering experience is amazing.
Yeah.
It's super easy compared to like most websites or calling up and talking to somebody on the phone, which is a nightmare. But yet they're not kind of showcasing that for Jen Wilson here. So I think it's a miss.
I agree. Totally agree. To go into the next one, let me screenshot here a little bit. So I picked this orange one here. So I want to stop real quick. It seems like they're using the same imagery throughout a lot of their website and their ads. This seems to be very repetitive. Overall, collectively looking out, the orange white text with underline and this image of the when you're paying and tipping seems to be repetitive. And it's not adding any value to the ads. Like there's a big disconnect. So I just wanted to mention that. I'm gonna roll through this one. Again, I think it's very similar to the last one. This one does do the built to flex your needs. Get started today for $0. Cassidy Carl, would love to hear your thoughts on those ads. I know when I see that, I'm just like, oh boy, it's definitely lacking the value and not educating the viewer. So yeah, those are kind of my thoughts on this one. Curious to hear yours as well.
Yeah, it doesn't communicate anything compelling to me in the feed, right? If I'm scrolling and I see this thing flip around, like to Cassidy's point before, it could be any point of sale provider, and it's like built for restaurants. Yeah, like no shit. I mean, I know that. Like you're Toast, like you're a category leader. So like there's so much familiarity likely that most restaurants probably know that Toast is like kind of like the premium product in this space. So like, why should I take any action? They're not explaining why change. Like, why should I change? Why should I do anything different than what I'm currently doing today? None of that is communicated. And so I'm going to keep scrolling, and they likely don't really see much conversions or any revenue that's driven from this advertising.
I'm perplexed why they keep showing this image.
Yeah.
Because like, listen, like I can go to the farmer's market and the little person in the stand has a dongle on their phone that does this, and they probably got that for free from AT&T or something. It's like, or Square. I don't know why this is so compelling. This is like par for the course for all of us. We order on our every place you go has this.
It's also so
Toast or
funny
somebody
because
else.
this, add a tip situation screen here has become such a meme right now that it almost feels like a negative image culturally. So it's just kind of funny that that's really what they're hinging their entire visual identity on, basically. And they're not showing anyone using this product and having a great experience. They're just showing the thing we all hate.
Yeah, this is the worst part of the experience.
Exactly.
Where, like the part where I feel morally conflicted about giving a tip when nothing was really done for, like I just ordered at the counter,
Exactly.
Hilarious.
You're heartless, Carl. You're heartless.
Courtney, I was hoping you were going to put your own leave a tip screen at the end of this
Exactly.
presentation for us to tip you. But I also had a question about the font and as I deal with a lot of typography, I think the underline's kind of lazy. I don't know. Something about it really doesn't, like, I know they're trying to make it pop and like that's like the bold part of the thing, but is there anything else as like a designer you would have done instead of like the just kind of simply underlining the end of each sentence?
Oh yes, there is tons of things that I would have different routes that I would have taken. I think one thing that is important with ads is that when we design ads and they're in a set, that they're all significantly different. Different enough in design. So example, I think that the underline, I agree. I think that it works. But I do think it is a little bit lazy. I also have noticed that it's throughout their entire branding. So I think it might have been a brand decision. But some other alternatives is I would definitely start to incorporate their other colors. Their other colors are really pop, especially that purple that was in the like customer testimonial section. We could incorporate that. We could change the background, you know, if it was a white background, we had purple text and then the pop of the orange, that would work too if restaurants was orange. We could play with different blocks behind it. Even if it was a shorter headline, we could, you know, increase the size of restaurants to make that stand out more, maybe create a thin stroke on it and knock it out, and have that pop that way. There's tons of different opportunities, but I do agree with you, and that is a good call out because that is consistent across all of their branding. So hopefully that
That's
answered.
awesome. Yeah, appreciate that, Courtney. And Miles, no underlines on Chris's content. I don't think that'll go well.
I mean, it does work in some cases. So
Yeah,
All
now
right.
I gotta test it. So, but it looks like we're up on the hour here.
Yeah,
Yeah, Cassidy,
that was
wrap
great.
us up.
That was good. I think that was comprehensive. Thanks for picking Toast. I think I love going through brands that we all know and we interact with. And then to your point, like you pick somebody who's crushing it, but yet there's a lot of room for improvement. So I love it. I think we may have to send it over to them, Carl, but we'll take that up offline.
Fine with that.
Thanks everybody for joining.
They're either going to try to hire Lex or they're just going to blacklist her. So we'll see what happens.
I'm going for blacklist. Yeah.
We're going to find out. All right,
Thanks,
everybody.
Courtney. Thanks, Lex. See y'all.
Bye.
That's a wrap.